Panasonic just gave us a huge surprise at the end of 2024, announcing a pocket, travel-friendly Super Zoom ZS99 model in the United States and TZ99 in Europe. They actually released two cameras, the G97, which is a little more of an uninteresting regular camera, but if you know this channel, we like to review pocket cameras, super zoom, bridge cameras, and camcorders, old tech and new tech. Well, this is going to be new tech. Now, this model replaces the one before it that was discontinued fairly recently, the ZS80, with a few important changes to that model. So let's talk about what it will have and what it won't have. The camera goes from a nice wide 24mm to a super telephoto of 720mm, all with one retractable lens. It has a 1.84 million dot high-resolution tilt screen, which tilts all the way up for selfies and vlogging, very similar to Sony's RX100 series, their older HX series, and Canon's G5X series. It also will shoot 4K 30 video like those cameras, but the problem with this camera is there is a heavy crop in 4K 30 video, almost 1.5 times, so you really lose that 24mm wide angle. But on the plus side, you get a much longer zoom in 4K 30 video. The camera has 5-axis in-body image stabilization, so USB-C is the new standard for charging. So that's one of the major motivations Panasonic has for replacing this camera, for updating the ports. Micro USB is gone, USB-C Type 2 for charging. However, I don't think you can power the camera off of the USB-C. I'll have to confirm that when it's actually released. Earlier in 2024, Panasonic did the same thing with the FZ80 line, replacing the FZ80 with the FZ80D, updating the micro USB connector to USB-C. But that is a bigger and heavier camera. This is more pocketable. It has Bluetooth version 5, so it's a 30 times optical zoom. Panasonic has something called intelligent zoom in the camera, which they have in their other cameras as well, which boosts that to 60 times. Although, remember, that is still digital cropping, although Panasonic claims it'll give you better results. It's akin to Sony's clear image zoom. Sony also claims that their clear image zoom does a bit better job than digital zoom. And the release date of this camera, February 2025. So how does Panasonic do this, give you such a long zoom in such a small camera? It's because the sensor size is very small, about the size of your cell phone, so that's the downside. This camera really is competing with Canon's version of this camera, the SX740, which I reviewed, and they will go head-to-head in an upcoming video. Also, Sony's older discontinued HX99 and HX90 series, but the HX99, very similar, small sensor, flip-up screen, the same zooms, 24 to 720. We'll do a head-to-head on that one too. The HX99, by the way, on the secondary market, selling for like $700,000 for a very old camera. So you should be glad to know that Panasonic is now going to have a $500 newer camera, so that's good news. So what Panasonic dropped on the ZS99, TZ99, is the electronic viewfinder. And for me, that's kind of a disappointment, because when you're shooting long zooms, it's nice to be able to brace your eye for stability with a viewfinder. I guess the bright side is it'll make the camera a little less bulky, a little fewer protuberances, and maybe easier to fit in your pocket. So that begs the question, without that viewfinder, who is this camera for? Well, it does have a really long zoom, but I don't think birders or wildlife photographers are going to use this camera. They're going to prefer a digital camera with an electronic viewfinder and a larger sensor. But for travel, if you don't want to carry around a bunch of lenses and you want something really small to travel light with, and especially people that go to concerts, instead of using your cell phone, this allows you to get in a lot closer with better image quality. It takes up less storage on your phone, and I will test this up in a concert setting with a band, as I did with Canon's SX740 and their smaller ELPH. So be sure to stay tuned and subscribe for that too. The camera shoots 4K 30 a maximum, but in 1080p you can go to 120 frames per second for slow motion. And it will have Wi-Fi. Now the weird thing is, the FZ80, which I mentioned before, another super zoom camera by Panasonic, when they updated that to the FZ80D in 2024, they dropped the Wi-Fi feature. That confused and disappointed a lot of people. this camera will have Wi-Fi. It will be available in black or silver. Now, being that this is a smaller sensor, unlike Sony's RX100 series, which has a 1-inch sensor, but of course the RX100 series, for example, the 100 Mark VII, the current model, only goes out to 200 millimeters. The trade-off is low light is going to take a hit. The maximum ISO is only 6400, and at that ISO, it's probably going to be a bit grainy. It's f3.3 to 6.4, so especially when you get out to the longer end of the zoom, it does slow down quite a bit. But there are some cool modes like 4K photo mode, which is popular on other Panasonic cameras, where you can actually pick out a frame from a 4K video burst. The camera has a built-in flash, and with all this, it only weighs 312 grams. It will also offer post-focus and focus stacking like other Panasonic bridge cameras. And with post-focus, the camera takes a burst of photos, and then you just tap on the screen and you can select what area is in focus, and you get an 8 megapixel JPEG from that. So obviously the camera does have a touchscreen, so that's a plus. But talking about focus, it still maintains the older focus system, the contrast-based autofocus, not the newer phase detect. But I found in most situations, especially if the lighting is good, autofocus is pretty good in these cameras. And it does have focus peaking and some other pro features where you can adjust your sharpness and contrast and tweak your picture. For under $500, you can shoot RAW. There is no mic jack. When I get my hands on this camera, I will sure to give you my first impressions, and then shortly thereafter a full review and then comparisons with other similar cameras in the lineup like the Canon and other Sony cameras. What do you think about losing the electronic viewfinders? Does that bother you? In today's day and age, a lot of people don't really use viewfinders anymore, and maybe that was part of Panasonic's thinking and to keep the cost down. So although this isn't really a brand new camera, it's more of a tweak or an upgrade. Still, with the bridge camera point and shoot market on the teetering of collapse, I'm glad to see Panasonic keeping the market segment alive, giving us something new. Maybe it'll breathe a little life into it. Maybe some other manufacturers will follow suit. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Tell me how you feel about this camera, if the lack of an electronic viewfinder bothers you or not. Maybe it shouldn't be a big deal. Maybe we'll just get used to it. A lot of people don't even use the viewfinder anymore, and it will make it a little bit smaller. So I'm really excited to see it. Stay tuned when I test this camera up against the other big boys in the category. Thanks so much for watching. Exciting times. See you in the next video.